Aging isn't just about growing older. It's about seeing life through a new lens, one shaped by experience, resilience, and sometimes hard-earned wisdom. As we enter our later years, we face challenges that test the beliefs we once held in our youth. But here's the truth. Understanding these realities can empower you to protect your dignity, nurture your happiness, and reclaim your sense of self. In this video, we'll uncover 7 essential lessons that can help you navigate aging with confidence and grace. These aren't just comforting words, they're powerful insights backed by real-life experiences and expert advice. You'll learn how to safeguard yourself from manipulation, set boundaries that protect your peace, and break free from toxic relationships, whether with family, friends, or even society's expectations. We'll also explore how to let go of past regrets and fully embrace the wisdom and freedom that come with age. If you want to make your later years truly fulfilling, this is a must-watch. So, stay with me until the end. You might just walk away with a new perspective that changes your life. If you're new here, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss an important topic. And if you find this video valuable, a like and a share would mean the world. It helps spread these messages to others who need them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Press 1 if you love this topic, or 0 if you'd like to see something different. Now, let's get started on this journey to a wiser, more empowered you. The first tip is, do not blindly trust everyone who approaches you. As we grow older, some advice that once seemed simple takes on a whole new meaning. Loneliness can become an uninvited guest, lingering in the quiet moments of our lives. We crave meaningful relationships, the kind that bring warmth, companionship, and understanding. But ironically, this deep desire for connection can sometimes leave us vulnerable. The truth is, not everyone who enters our lives does so with good intentions. With age, we often become more empathetic, more forgiving, and more willing to see the best in others. And while these are beautiful qualities, they can also make us easy targets for those who know how to manipulate kindness. There are people who recognize when we are most fragile, who understand how to twist emotions in ways that serve their own needs. Perhaps you've seen this pattern before. A person who claims to be a friend always seems to appear when you're struggling, offering comfort, lending a sympathetic ear, but vanishes the moment things start looking up for you. It's as if they thrive on your vulnerability, on being needed, rather than on a genuine friendship. Then there are the family members who suddenly reach out when they need financial help, the acquaintances who guilt you into favors, the so-called friends who always ask but rarely give in return. Consider the neighbor who regularly calls to chat about her problems, but never once asks how you're doing, or the relative who drops in unexpectedly, not to check on you, but to ask for a loan. Maybe it's a longtime friend who subtly pressures you into doing things for them, knowing full well that your kind heart will make it difficult to say no. Over time, these one-sided relationships drain not only your energy, but also your sense of self-worth. But this isn't about closing yourself off from others or living in a state of constant suspicion. It's about developing the wisdom to recognize genuine connections and setting boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. As we age, our time becomes more precious, and we owe it to ourselves to spend it with people who uplift us, not those who take advantage of our generosity. Learning to say no is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. Trust is a beautiful thing, but it should be given with care. Observe patterns, not just words. A true friend, a real companion, will respect your boundaries and value you for who you are, not just for what you can offer. Imagine looking back on your later years with a sense of peace rather than regret, knowing that the people around you truly care, that your relationships are built on mutual respect rather than obligation. Wouldn't that be far more fulfilling than carrying the weight of one-sided connections? So as you move forward, remember this. Relationships should nourish your spirit, not drain it. Choose wisely, trust with discernment, and guard your peace fiercely. Because at the end of the day, the quality of your connections will shape the quality of your life. The second tip is to stop living to please others, especially your family. It's never easy to face this truth. It can feel unsettling, even painful, to admit out loud, but the reality is that many of us have spent our entire lives prioritizing the needs and desires of others, our children, our grandchildren, our spouses. We have devoted decades to ensuring their happiness, believing that sacrifice is the highest expression of love. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, at what cost? When you were younger, you likely believed that one day, once the children were grown, once responsibilities lessened, you would finally have time for yourself. Time to pursue your passions, to rest, to enjoy the life you worked so hard to build. And yet, here you are, older, perhaps retired, but still caught in the web of obligation. The demands haven't faded. In many ways, they've intensified. You are still the one they turn to, still the one expected to help, to be available, to sacrifice. And the weight of these expectations, it doesn't lessen with time, it tightens, like invisible chains. Think about it. How many times have you put your own plans on hold because someone else needed you? How often have you dipped into your savings to help a struggling family member, putting their needs ahead of your own security? How many times have you dropped everything, your plans, your rest, your desires, because someone assumed you would? And what do you receive in return? A quick thank you? A fleeting moment of appreciation before the next request arrives? It's not that your family doesn't love you, but over time, they've come to expect your generosity, your time, your support, not out of malice, but out of habit. They assume you'll always be there to help, because you always have been. And so, they continue to lean on you, often without realizing just how much they are asking, how much of yourself you are giving away. But who is looking out for you? When was the last time someone asked what you wanted, not just in passing, but truly, deeply cared about your happiness? If you've ever felt a lingering emptiness, a quiet ache that whispers, "Is this all there is?" you are not alone. After decades of giving, it is only natural to wonder, when is it my turn? The answer is, now. This stage of life should not be spent endlessly giving, while expecting nothing in return. It should be a time of reclaiming yourself, a time to revisit old dreams, to explore new passions, to prioritize your own happiness without guilt. Maybe it's traveling to the places you once only dreamed about. Maybe it's taking that painting class, learning an instrument, or finally starting the garden you always wanted. Maybe it's simply allowing yourself to rest, to wake up without obligations weighing you down, to move through the day on your terms. And no, this is not selfish. It is not wrong. It is self-preservation. It is fairness. It is the long overdue recognition that you, too, deserve to live with joy and fulfillment. If your loved ones truly respect and appreciate you, they will understand. They will want you to be happy, just as you have always wanted happiness for them. And if they struggle to accept it, that is something they must work through on their own. You have already done more than enough. Mary is 72 years old, spent her life putting her family first, raising her children, supporting her husband, and later, caring for her grandkids. Whenever they needed help, she was there. But as she reached her late 70s, she felt exhausted and unfulfilled. One day, staring out the window, she realized she had put her dreams, travel, painting, and adventure on hold for decades. And unless she made a change, she always would. So, for the first time, Margaret set boundaries. She joined a hiking group, took an art class, and planned her first solo trip. At first, her family was surprised, even frustrated. But over time, they adjusted. And Mary, for the first time in years, felt truly free. living life for herself. This is your time. You have carried the weight of responsibility for years, perhaps an entire lifetime. Now it is time to lay that burden down, not with guilt, but with pride. You deserve a life free from the relentless demands of others, a life where your happiness comes first. So I urge you, embrace this chapter for yourself, not for your children, not for your grandchildren, not out of duty or obligation, but for you, because you have earned it, because it is time, because you deserve it. The third tip is, don't be afraid to distance yourself from toxic people. For many of us, family is more than just a word. It's a sense of belonging, a foundation upon which we build our lives. From childhood, we are taught that family bonds should be honored no matter what, that forgiveness and endurance are virtues we must uphold, even in the face of pain. But as we navigate life, we inevitably encounter difficult relationships, even among those closest to us, and this can create an agonizing inner conflict. Do we maintain these connections out of obligation, or do we prioritize our own mental and emotional well-being? The weight of guilt and societal expectations can make this decision feel impossible, especially when we've spent years tolerating mistreatment, hoping things might change. In youth, it's easier to believe there's time to repair broken relationships, but as we grow older, we come to understand that time is finite, and every moment spent in relationships that drain us is a moment lost. How often have you endured unkind words, manipulation, or outright disrespect simply because you felt it was your duty? Society tells us that family is everything, that we should forgive endlessly and overlook harm in the name of love. But there is nothing unconditional about allowing someone to damage your spirit. Imagine a familiar scenario. A child who constantly dismisses your feelings. A grandchild who only calls when they need financial help. A sibling who reminds you of past mistakes to keep you in a place of guilt. Or even a spouse who no longer treats you with kindness and respect. These situations are painful, but they are real, and many suffer in silence, convincing themselves that it's their responsibility to endure. But if someone outside your family treated you this way, if a friend or neighbor belittled or used you, would you tolerate it? If the answer is no, why should it be different just because it's family? The greatest act of love you can give yourself is recognizing when a relationship has become toxic, no matter how deeply rooted it is in your history. Aging should not mean becoming a silent sufferer, tolerating mistreatment just to keep the peace. Instead, it should be a time of serenity, where relationships bring comfort, joy, and support rather than stress and resentment. Imagine the freedom of releasing toxic ties, of waking up free from the weight of constant negativity. Picture a life where the people around you respect, uplift, and cherish you, not just when they need something, but simply because they value who you are. Setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. Those who truly love you will understand and respect those boundaries, and those who don't were never looking out for your best interests in the first place. Every single day at this stage in life is a gift, and you deserve to spend your time with people who genuinely care, not those who only take. It's time to let go of the myth that family means endless sacrifice, that love requires suffering, and that you must endure relationships that leave you feeling small, unappreciated, or used. This doesn't mean cutting ties with everyone who has ever hurt you, but it does mean recognizing who adds value to your life and stepping back from those who repeatedly cause harm. There is no betrayal in choosing yourself. Your happiness and peace are not selfish desires, they are essential. And if protecting them means setting boundaries or creating distance, then that is one of the strongest, most courageous acts of self-love you can take. Dr. Henry Cloud, a clinical psychologist and author of Boundaries. When to Say Yes, How to Say No to Take Control of Your Life, offers powerful insight on this topic. Boundaries are not about getting other people to change. They are about deciding what you are willing to tolerate. You get what you tolerate. This reminds us that setting limits in relationships, whether with family, friends, or anyone else, is not about trying to change others, but about protecting our own well-being and ensuring we surround ourselves with respect, kindness, and genuine love. So take a deep breath, trust in your right to peace, and know that by prioritizing yourself, you are making space for the love, joy, and respect you truly deserve. Because at the end of the day, the life you are meant to live is one where you are valued, respected, and at peace. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. The fourth tip is to stop waiting for others to recognize your sacrifices. Have you ever paused to look back on all the moments you placed others' needs before your own? The times you poured your heart into your children, your partner, your parents, or dear friends, always putting their happiness ahead of yours. Think about the dreams you quietly set aside, the personal goals you postponed, and the joys you sacrificed, all with the silent hope that one day they would notice. That they would understand the depth of your love and selflessness, and with gratitude in their eyes, thank you for everything you've done. It's a comforting thought, the idea that someday, those you sacrificed for will recognize your efforts with heartfelt gratitude. But here's the painful truth. Life doesn't always work that way. That long-awaited moment of recognition, that thank you you've been hoping for, may never come. Consider all the times you've silently wished for someone to acknowledge what you've given. Those late nights spent reflecting on the endless acts of kindness you've shown, the personal dreams you sacrificed, the time and energy you devoted to making someone else's life easier. And yet, how often has that gratitude remained unspoken? The emptiness that follows can be profound, leaving you questioning your choices, your relationships, and even your own worth. This yearning for acknowledgement can quietly weigh on your heart, growing heavier with each passing year. The hard truth is, when we rely on others to validate our sacrifices, we place our happiness in their hands, making it conditional on their recognition. And when that recognition doesn't come, disappointment creeps in, slowly giving way to something even heavier: resentment. You may find yourself replaying past moments, revisiting sacrifices that once felt fulfilling, but now feel overlooked. Resentment can settle into your relationships like an invisible barrier, creating distance where there was once love. Even worse, it can make you question your own kindness, making you wonder if all those selfless acts were even worth it. But here's what you must remember. The value of your sacrifices is not determined by whether or not others appreciate them. The love you have given, the times you've gone out of your way for others, the energy you poured into making someone else's life better, these things are reflections of your character, not theirs. They are proof of your deep compassion, your resilience, and the beauty of your giving heart. And that is something to be proud of, whether or not anyone ever acknowledges it. The path to true peace and fulfillment lies in letting go of the need for external validation. Your worth is not measured by how others perceive you, but by the strength, kindness, and integrity you have carried through life. Imagine the freedom of knowing that your happiness is not dependent on someone else's approval, that your contentment comes from within rather than from a thank you that may never be spoken. This is not about dismissing your sacrifices, it's about honoring them on your own terms. As you grow older, time becomes even more precious. There is so much beauty in living a life unburdened by the expectations of others, free from the silent hope that someone will finally see all that you've done. Accepting that recognition may never come doesn't make your efforts meaningless. In fact, it means the opposite. It means that you loved and gave without needing a reward, that your kindness was always sincere. This acceptance is an act of deep self-love, one that allows you to move forward with a heart that is full, rather than weighed down by disappointment. So if you are still watching this video and find these lessons valuable, Please comment your thoughts below to let me know you're here with me. And as you continue on this journey, remind yourself every day, your value is not defined by someone else's gratitude. It is rooted in your unwavering kindness, your quiet strength, and the love you've given without expectation. Letting go of resentment is not about forgetting. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, and your life. And that, more than anything, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. The fifth tip is to stop using your age as an excuse not to change. This truth may feel uncomfortable at first, even unsettling. But often, the discomfort we feel is a sign that something important is being revealed. How many times have you dismissed an opportunity, a new adventure, a fresh start, a chance to learn, by saying, "I'm too old for that"? Whether it's picking up a new hobby, changing an unhealthy habit, shifting your mindset, or even opening your heart to love again, age often becomes a convenient excuse to stay the same. But here's the truth. As long as we are alive, it is never too late to change. This realization isn't limiting, it's liberating. It means that no matter how many years have passed, there is still time to grow, to evolve, to embrace the possibilities that life still has to offer. Society often pushes the idea that after a certain age, growth is out of reach, that we are meant to slow down rather than level up. But this is a myth, a powerful one, that keeps too many people stuck in a life that feels safe but unfulfilling. When we believe this myth, we settle. We tell ourselves that our dreams, passions, and desires are for someone younger, someone with more energy. We let incredible opportunities slip away, not because they were impossible, but because we convinced ourselves they weren't meant for us anymore. Think about it. How many times have you wished you had learned an instrument, taken that art class, written that book, or traveled to that dream destination? How many friendships, passions, or even love stories did you walk away from? Not because they weren't right, but because you told yourself it's too late. The regret of not trying is often far heavier than the challenge of starting something new. But here's what most people don't realize. Age is an advantage. With every year comes a deeper understanding of yourself, a wealth of experiences, and the wisdom to navigate life's changes with clarity. You've endured hardships, celebrated triumphs, and learned resilience in ways that younger generations haven't yet experienced. This gives you incredible strength, the ability to embrace change with confidence, knowing you've already overcome so much. The only real barrier is the belief that it's too late. And while that belief may feel deeply ingrained, it's one you have the power to break. Instead of seeing age as a limitation, use it as a foundation. Let the lessons of your past become stepping stones for an exciting future. Yes, change can be uncomfortable, but think about all the transitions you've already faced: childhood, young adulthood, parenthood, retirement. Each stage came with challenges, and yet you adapted. Why should this stage be any different? Why not make it just as meaningful, just as full of discovery? Imagine the life you could create if you saw your age not as a barrier, but as a strength. You could finally take that trip, start that business, deepen your relationships, or pursue a passion that has been waiting in the back of your mind for years. And the best part? At this stage, you're not making changes to impress anyone, to meet expectations, or to prove yourself. You're doing it for you. James, a retired 68-year-old, believed his best years were behind him. His days felt predictable until he stumbled upon an old sketchbook from his youth. Once passionate about art, he had long abandoned the dream. But instead of dismissing it, he bought new pencils and started sketching. What began as a hobby led him to an art class, new friendships, and eventually selling his first painting at 72. James realized the only thing holding him back was the belief that it was too late. The moment he let go of that, his life opened to new joy and purpose. The years you've lived aren't a countdown to the end. They are a testament to your experience, your wisdom, and all that you still have to offer. The human spirit is boundless, ageless, and capable of transformation at any stage of life. So instead of seeing age as a finish line, why not see it as a launch pad? Let go of the myth that it's too late and embrace the truth. Every moment holds the potential for growth, joy, and discovery. As long as you are here, you have the power to evolve, to thrive, and to create a future filled with new possibilities. This isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of an incredible new chapter. The sixth tip is don't cling to the past as if it were your only refuge. As we journey through life, nostalgia often walks beside us, wrapping us in the warmth of cherished memories, the laughter of old friendships, the passion of youthful love, the dreams we once pursued with boundless energy. Sometimes those moments of the past feel even more vivid than the present, as if they are calling us back to a time when life felt fuller, more exciting, more meaningful. It's easy to get swept away in these memories, to retreat into them, especially as we age. They offer comfort, reminding us of who we were and what we've experienced. And yes, reminiscing in moderation can be deeply healing. It's a way of honoring the life we've lived. But there's a delicate line we must be careful not to cross, for when we begin to dwell more in the past than in the present, we risk becoming prisoners of our own memories. No matter how beautiful they are, they should not define our current existence. How often have you caught yourself thinking, "Back in my day, things were so much better," or "If only I could go back to when I was truly happy"? This kind of thinking, though comforting at first, can quietly convince you that your best days are behind you. It creates an illusion that the past was the only time worth living, trapping you in a cycle of longing and comparison that makes it nearly impossible to appreciate the here and now. The danger of holding on too tightly to the past is that it blinds you to the possibilities that still lie ahead. The present may not have the same magic as your younger years, but it is real, it is tangible, and it is the only moment that truly belongs to you. Each time you lose yourself in what was, instead of embracing what is, you let precious time slip through your fingers, time that could be spent creating new experiences, discovering new joys, and finding meaning in the life you are still living. Think about this. Life is finite. Every moment spent yearning for what has already passed is a moment forfeited in the present. Imagine the heartbreak of reaching the end of your journey, only to realize how much of it was spent looking backward instead of forward. Life moves in seasons, each bringing its own lessons, its own joys, and its own unique opportunities. The experiences of your past had their time and place, shaping you into the person you are today, but they do not hold all of who you are. This is a new season, one with its own gifts, its own unexpected blessings. You are more than your memories. You are the choices you make today, the way you choose to spend the time you still have, and the life you continue to create with each passing moment. No matter how tempting it may be to relive the golden days, remember that they were never meant to be your entire story. They played their part, and now, a new chapter is unfolding before you. The real challenge is not in longing for what was, but in discovering joy, purpose, and even wonder in what still lies ahead. It's natural to feel a sense of loss for the years that have passed, for the youthful energy, the opportunities that once seemed endless, but don't let that sadness blind you to the beauty of what remains. Even now, life offers new surprises, new connections, and new experiences waiting to be embraced. The choice is yours. Will you open your heart to the world as it is today, with all its imperfections and uncertainties? Or will you stay cocooned in memories of what once was? Nostalgia is a beautiful thing, but it should be a place you visit, not a place you live. The past is part of you, but it is not the totality of who you are. Open your heart to the idea that life still has remarkable things in store, people you have yet to meet, joys you have yet to discover, and moments you have yet to treasure. Yes, the future is uncertain, but it is also filled with potential. To live fully is to take each day as it comes, to look ahead with hope, and to believe that meaning and fulfillment can still be found in the present moment. Let go of the belief that your best years are behind you. Trust that there is still so much left for you to experience. Let nostalgia be a gentle reminder, not a heavy chain. Allow yourself to love this moment, to fully live in it, and to create new memories that one day you'll look back on with the same fondness you feel now. Life is still happening, and it's calling for you to be a part of it. Don't just stand by watching, step forward and embrace it. The seventh tip is, don't masturbate every day. Masturbation, when done occasionally and in moderation, is a natural and healthy part of self-care. It can relieve stress, improve sleep, and even promote emotional well-being. In fact, studies suggest that sexual activity, including masturbation, can help regulate mood by releasing endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that regular sexual activity, including self-pleasure, was linked to improved mental and physical health, even in older adults. But what happens when it becomes a daily habit, or worse, a compulsion? For many, excessive indulgence isn't about pleasure, but an escape, perhaps from loneliness, stress, or even a sense of lost purpose in retirement. Rather than bringing lasting joy, over-reliance on this habit can drain energy, dull motivation, and even lead to isolation. Over time, it may replace meaningful activities, reducing the richness of life instead of enhancing it. So, the real question is, are you truly satisfied or just temporarily distracted? Rather than relying on one habit for relief, consider other ways to bring joy and fulfillment into your life. Take a peaceful morning walk. Nature has been scientifically proven to lower stress and boost mood. Dive into a book that transports you to another world. Pick up a hobby that excites your mind, like painting, music, or even learning a new skill. Engage in deep, meaningful conversations with friends, reconnecting with the warmth of human connection. These experiences offer lasting satisfaction and contribute to overall well-being in ways that no quick fix ever could. This isn't about guilt or shame, it's about balance. By reducing the frequency of this habit, you may actually rediscover greater pleasure in life's many other forms. Imagine experiencing more joy, more connection, and more fulfillment simply by expanding where you seek comfort and pleasure. Your later years are not a time to shrink your world, but to expand it. By embracing moderation, you open the door to a life filled with richer experiences, deeper connections, and a sense of purpose that makes every day feel meaningful. After all, pleasure isn't just about a single act, it's about how fully and joyfully you live your life. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with a question. What stood out to you the most today? Was there a thought, a lesson, or a shift in perspective that truly resonated with you? Take a moment to reflect, because insight without action fades quickly. What is one idea from this discussion that you can carry with you? Something that could bring more peace, fulfillment, or clarity to your daily life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If this video added value to your day, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue these conversations together. Your support means everything, and it helps spread these messages to those who might need them the most. Thank you for watching, for thinking deeply, and for being part of this journey toward a life of balance, wisdom, and purpose. Until next time, take care of yourself and embrace every moment ahead.